That one carousel kills you sometimes. I mean, that one carousel of video poker machines at Harrah's in Atlantic City. I don't know how many rotations or orbits I've made around there. But my theory is if a machine hits, get up and leave right away and go to the next machine and see if you can't take something down. And that's worked for me both, favorably and very unfavorably. Like if the payoff, it says just paid out like $600, you're thinking that'll never hit again. I mean, it'll be another leap year or so before that machine pays off again. Otherwise, they just put them, on a van and then take them right to the airport there and ship them off to Caracas or something, right? Next thing you know, you're seeing the Air Venezuela, and there's that slot machine on it. Speaking of odds, 50-1 you get on the Marlins to win the World Series. 50-1. Would you say no way, Jose Canseco, that the Marlins win the World Series this year? They have a tendency to be in a coma until the 8th inning of a ball game.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden they get some kind of, they get like Panama Lewis comes into the dugout and says, here, drink this. All of a sudden the guy's dick is hard in the corner there. What do you got here, Panama? That's the stuffing out of the gloves. The guy goes out there, scores a late round knockout after getting the shit knocked out of him the entire fight.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Buried again. Unbelievable. I'm just going to have taps as my alarm, I think. Maybe it's appropriate at 72. What do you think, Libby? Good morning, everybody. Good to be with you. I want to start on a dour, sour, ugly note here, but 2 and out, that's it. You're out!
They were never in either game.
You called that one yesterday, although you're 1 for 2 on predictions. You made a very bold prediction, and you were right through 3 quarters. And that's the problem with betting.
FIU? Oh, I didn't. Oh, they lost.
FIU. You meant FIU. You said, go ahead. Very enthusiastically, Lubie. It was a rare dose of overwhelming enthusiasm by you for making a prediction here on the show. And I got sucked in with you. I was a believer. It was FIU and New Mexico State, I believe. New Mexico State.
Mm-hmm.
And our man, Mike McIntyre, of course, he coached at Colorado. He's been with some big-time programs. He won me over with his introductory press conference at Florida International University. You're saying, who? What? Where? FIU. Well, the people here in town know of what we speak. FIU, they've had some coaches there. Butch Davis, certainly was a coach of a certain amount of distinction, right? You had Ron Turner, who had coached in the pros and been involved, at Illinois. He had coached some big college programs, seemed to be a guy that was of sound logic when it came to approaching these sort of things and the whole endeavor of trying to get a small school program going. I mean, they're playing commensurate, competition, parallel kind of competition for the most part. And then every now and then they got to, go into some team's home field and take a shellacking just to make the payday. But, they're not quite in that total cupcake package, right? Where, it's like Bethune-Cookman or something. And they are fine maybe at their own level, but it's a low level compared to some of the lofty opponents that they end up taking on just to preserve the program financially. It was 17 all, I think, after 3 quarters, Libby. You were right there. You were getting 6 and a hook. Everything was looking good. And then they got shellacked in the 4th quarter and lost by 17. So that one you had wrong. Although, I mean, how well-versed in FIU football are you, you would have to ask. I mean, we've had the coach on a few times. Do we really know anything about this team?
Oh, nothing.
If the coach put us on the spot, McIntyre, he's a great guy, too. I mean, everything that I thought about him from that introductory press conference appears to be very much true and in line with what you would think would be a really good guy that you would root for his success. Tough spot, no doubt about it. I mean, if Butch Davis couldn't make that thing work, to any level of success where, he would he have stayed there forever? I don't know. Was that a Lane Kiffin type of stepping stone for Butch? Right. I mean, the guy in his last job before that was North Carolina. He coached at the University of Miami. Guy was in the pros. I mean, he's won Super Bowls as an assistant. He certainly had Cleveland Browns lured him away after his Miami gig. Still remember that, too. It's so difficult. I mean, I know people put it all on Nick Saban for lying right in the face of the camera. when he was asked directly by our good friend Dave Hyde, Nick, are you going to take the Alabama job? And what is he supposed to say? Like a couple of games left in the Dolphin season that year. It wasn't going well. He had only been with the team like 2 years. That was his second season. And look, he had Dante Culpepper. It was his quarterback originally. Can you imagine? And now that would have been fine if he was a rookie Dante
Years
Culpepper.
before, yeah. He was a great quarterback.
But he was a crippled Dante Culpepper.
He was a
So
shot.
that wasn't, it wasn't like Culpepper was going to make you forget about Marino when he was passing the football, but he was all right. And he could run a little bit. And he was a powerful, big, strong guy. And you thought the cliche applies, right? It's very applicable, is it not? But we can win with this guy. Remember when Jimmy was trying to sell us that he could win with Damon Heward as his quarterback?
Yes, I remember, and we all laughed at him.
Insert derisive Mexican whistle. Unbelievable. But so they got shellacked in the fourth quarter last night. And then you were absolutely 100% dead right about the Phillies Marlins game. Marlins didn't raise a gallop. Another Cinderella story ends up in a pumpkin instead of the coach. Never really got into this, huh? I mean, the guy, the second baseman, who is that? Tommy Helms hit a home run. It was Bryson Stott. Bryson Stott, second baseman that hit grand slams in postseason play. Unbelievable. I don't know. Did Helms ever hit one? Davey Johnson, second baseman, that all of a sudden, you got a second. Dan Ugler. Remember when he had immense power? Dan Ugler as a second baseman. You're thinking, your second baseman has 45 home runs? Holy Dr. Galea, what are we talking about here? Incredible. But, they never were in this thing. Braxton Garrett, who, pitched okay during the regular season, no doubt. What was he, somebody that you thought was going to just blow him away? It wasn't like you said in his prime Clayton Kershaw out there. But he was effective enough, and yet only went 3 innings in the game. Gave up a couple of runs. And what did he give up? 3 runs and a couple of hits. And that was it. It was over right from the very beginning because the Marlins only mustered up 5 hits, 1 double by Birdie. He got erased quickly with a rare base running blunder by Birdie, who's an excellent base runner in general. And he gets picked off second base. That was a weird one too, huh? Did you see that play where Birdie got picked off second base and you were thinking, all right, the Marlins are going to score. They're going to get back into this game. They have Louis Rise coming up, and he's going to bat at least, get a shot with 2 outs. And probably a runner on third. And instead, he doesn't even come to the plate as Birdie gets picked off. And that was kind of the story of the series, was it not? The Marlins looked inept.
Schumacher in game the next inning. And I've never heard a skipper, manager, coach ever be this honest. It's what you always want them to do when it's recruiting season. They're like, so what happened there with Birdie getting picked off? He's like, well, look, Birdie led the league in steals last year. Yep. So he has a green light to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. He thought he had a good spot. I then saw the replay the next break, and it was the fucking stupidest stolen base. He's like, well, Schumacher was like, well, he has a good pickoff move. I'm like, he was nailed halfway. Like who goes when you're gonna get nailed like that? Like, what are you doing? He didn't even have a good lead. It was like a really fucking dumb decision. But I actually, to Pat's point, if that did end the game for the Marlins, then you can't have.
Then they had no chance. Yeah,
a second end your game.
Yeah. No, that wasn't the whole story of the game. It was just an unfortunate thing. You're trying to get into it. They hadn't done anything. No damage with the bat the night before. They scored 1 run, and they were shut out until the 9th inning of this ball game. And finally got off a big fat round number there on the scoreboard. But too little too late as they were already down 7-0. So all of the baseball series ended 2 games. Kind of surprising, and not all won by the home team.
What happened to the Rays? Like, what the
Rays went into the tank. Wow, they were awful in this series. Did they even score, the Rays? Did they get shut out in both games? Is that possible?
They scored something, but last night was a goddamn disaster. Like, they got pummeled. It was like, what is going on?
Oh, they got a run last night. Yeah, they lost 7-1 to Texas.
And you guys are at home. Like, what the hell?
Being home was no barking there. Another sparse crowd. Wow, a lot of empty seats there. What a disgrace. Well, what would be the incentive? I mean, is it really just the stadium? If it's the location, as you mentioned, Lubie, is the city really and this municipality, whoever's putting the money together for these billion-dollar stadiums, are they really dumb enough to build it in the same spot? If the location of the stadium was the real issue there as to why people don't go to Tampa Bay Rays games. They have every reason. I mean, look, this is the kind of team that you love to root for.
Yes.
Not laced with superstars, but they constantly introduce you to players that are eventually going to have long and prosperous careers in Major League Baseball, even if they're not all with the Rays. So you get to see these guys as they're developing, and as a team, tremendous chemistry. I don't know. I mean, I guess Cash, is always going to be criticized for some of his decisions, and the one that pops out always is taking Snell out of that ball game in the World Series, and you're asking yourself, what was this man thinking?
That was so dumb.
It's the anatomy of an analytic catastrophe. I think you could look at that from a lot of different standpoints, including, I mean, we were talking about this yesterday, but where the Mets decided of the guys that they had on their pitching rotation roster, that Zach Wheeler was the guy who was expendable.
Yeah, that's funny.
And if you look at it now, I mean, there was reason to believe that at the time. I don't know, Wheeler was not the juggernaut that he is right now, where he's leading the Phillies last year into the World Series and now into the divisional playoff round as their ace. But I mean, you had Matt Harvey, the guy was great. What's he doing now? I think he's pitching in Guatemala somewhere.
He was hurt pretty much his entire career.
Yeah, I mean, he was somewhat never the same. What do you have, like 2 seasons where he was lights out?
He was great for like 2 or 3 years. Boris balked at the big money, and then he was never healthy ever again.
That's it, yeah. Never. His arm was dangling there like an orangutan. It was unbelievable. Jacob deGrom, I mean, how Texas got over that. Talk about being able to overcome a huge financial mistake. This guy doesn't even pitch for them, and they make it into the second round. The Texas Rangers coming up big against Tampa Bay and winning both games on the road. So they move on and now face the Baltimore Orioles in the next round. And you would have to think, as great of a season as the Orioles had, the Rangers certainly in there with a legitimate shot. So they had, deGrom, he looked great, but then injuries plagued him.
Yeah,
so, he's sitting there just collecting money like I'm collecting Social Security, although in much larger sums. And and Steve Matz, where's Matz today? I think he's on a Midwest pro wrestling circuit. He's gone. And Thor, Noah Syndergaard, really was never the same guy after he was dealt elsewhere. And he's kind of bounced around a little bit, been sort of a journeyman type, much like Matt Harvey was as he continued his major league career. And you're looking mid-season, he's out of baseball and gets signed by the Cincinnati Reds, that type of thing. That's sort of where Syndergaard is at right now. I mean, really not somebody that you would say, whoa, we got Noah Syndergaard, unbelievable. So the one guy that prospered was the one guy that they thought was expendable, the Mets.
Yes, the first one they got rid of.
How fucked up is that? I mean, Earl Weaver has got to be rolling over in his grave by looking at the lack of gut instinct that governs Major League Baseball decisions that are made in the front office. Yeah. Although you would have had reason to believe that the Mets were on the money on that. Mm-hmm. And that's the funny thing about sports is that you just never know, much like with your FIU prediction last night. So, here's the common thread, though, with all of our Cinderella stuff that's gone on here in South Florida. We have a total of, again, that big fat round number, Lubie, no championships.
Yes, as our friend Brian likes to point out, no one actually won anything.
No one's won shit. Yeah, exactly.
But for as dreadful as it was for is it 10 years, 5 years leading up to it? To me, it was nice to be in it. All of our teams, including the Marlins, were in it, which is something we were missing for a long time.
You want to be in there with a shot. I know you want to feel that way. I guess, we should probably look at it this way from a sports talk standpoint there, Mike Lubitz, and that is who's in a position to go ahead and kind of, consolidate this whole thing and maybe win a championship this time around. Who would have the strongest chance of doing that? University of Miami, supposedly. Now, I don't know enough about who Jim Larrañaga has assembled. We should probably have him on a show sometime soon because college basketball is getting ready to crank. But according to our source, which is mostly one guy, Special K, and a few things that I've read, Jim Larrañaga is assembling another powerhouse team here at the University of Miami. He didn't lose too many guys, right? How many guys left? 2?
I think he lost the 3 best players, though.
Oh, yeah?
He lost all 3. He lost Pack. He lost Miller, and he lost...
Pack left? Oh, I thought he was sticking around.
Maybe he has Pack. He kept Pack. He lost Miller, and he lost... Isaiah Wong.
Yeah.
I mean, those were the two. I mean, I guess Pack was legit, but those were the two most athletic guys that shined bright in the tournament. That's my problem for them is FAU, I have higher hopes. The thing for UM is they're putting together a really strong recruiting class for next year. That's not this year. Those guys are in high school right now. So I'm sure will be fine. He hasn't been a point where they're decent. I think FAU is a team that could be fucking scary. They return everyone.
This is what many people are saying. Yes. It was an overwhelming and seemingly insurmountable level of odds that FAU was facing in being considered for a Final Four team, and yet those will be short prices coming up this year by comparison. So, do they have the goods to accomplish something similar this season? You say yes, Lubie, and that makes me think that it's going to be a little bit of a disappointing year.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to win a title. I just know out of those two programs, to me, it's scary to say this because I don't trust the coach entirely. It's the Dolphins. Like, the Dolphins have the most talent on both sides of the ball to compete with any roster in the NFL. Like, the Heat would have been that until the goddamn Blazers said, we're going to help your two biggest rivals in your conference and ask for nothing from them. They're going to not get any worse, and we're going to give them exactly what they need. Dame Lillard is the guy that can shoot on the perimeter consistently so that when Giannis is running into brick walls, it's not Middleton he's having to count on. It's fucking Damian Lillard, the best all-around shooter in the league, not named Steph Curry.
Did I still have Middleton? I want to say yes to that. Yeah.
They even had to give up Middleton in that fucking trade.
Right.
And the Celtics, who got rid of all their toughness, Smart and Williams were literally all their toughness, brought back Drew Holiday, who was a tough fucking asshole, and now are better themselves. So the Heat, I still think...
Well, they also got Porzingis, the Celtics. Well, I don't know what's going to happen there.
They can get excited.
He was good last year, wasn't he, with the Wizards?
He still missed like 30 games. Last year was his healthiest year, and he missed 30 games. Or he missed like 20 games, and that was his healthiest year.
You're too skinny, Kristaps.
He's just
have a cheeseburger. They got to send him to Heritage and meet Reno, the chef.
Well, he's tall, and he had the leg issues. When you're tall, and once you have the leg issues, they linger.
Holy Sam Bowie. Yeah.
But getting Drew Holiday was huge for them. So the Heat, to me, I think will be interesting. I'm not writing them off, but going into the year, when you look at the talent, the Nuggets, the Lakers, the Celtics, and the Bucks have better rosters right now than the Heat. They need a guard really bad. The Dolphins, roster-wise, there's not a better roster. Like, the Niners are the best team. Their roster's not better. The Dolphins roster is fucking loaded. It's the most loaded it's ever been, including the Don Shula era. Like, their roster's loaded. I don't
offensive line, though, Lubie. That's always the big question mark.
They have issues there. But look, the funny thing is, when Connor Williams plays, it gives Tua just enough time to get rid of the ball. The issue to me is McDaniel. And I don't think he sucks or anything. I think he's fucking learning on the job with a championship roster. Like, this isn't the Panthers or the Texans. Like, he's learning on the job with a team that should be contending for a title. And I think he's a year away. He still wants to fuck around and do the cutesy bullshit that you can't do. Like, you can't be Dan Quinn in the Super Bowl not telling your coordinator, Kyle, run the fucking football. Like, you have to be able to be the guy that says, no, I love your analytics. I love all the shit you did that got us here. Look at Andy Reid. Kyle Shanahan did it in the Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan was fucking around with Jimmy Garoppolo instead of just running the goddamn ball when the Chiefs were down 10 and had no clue. Andy Reid stayed the course, and they ended up winning by fucking double digits. Like, as a coach, to win, you can't screw around in the championship moments, and McDaniel's gonna. Like, I love the guy. I think he will be a great coach. He still is a young dude that is on the job training, and you're not going to go beat the Niners with this roster, the you're not going to go beat guys that have won Super Bowls or contended for Super Bowls when you're still futzing around. Like, that's the only thing that scares me about the Dolphins is McDaniel.
Very strong opinion there, Mike Lubie. I love the passion that you're bringing to the table here today. I mean, I'm just waking up here. I'm pulling sleep out of my eyes, and you're fired up. This is great. Thank you for carrying the ball here in the opening segment of the program, Lubie. I love this. It's about time the old man caught a little bit of a break here.
There you go.
What about the French Joe Philbin, who we were dead wrong about in terms of personality and persona and the type of ability that he has maybe to motivate men with the Florida Panthers, talking about Paul Maurice. Kind of blossomed a little bit in the playoffs there. The team did as well. Did they have a chance to go out there and win a championship this year? You would have to say, yeah, why not?
Well, my problem is the guy, as much as we thought they were this great team, they really revolve around Matthew Tkachuk. Like the minute he was not himself, they fell apart. And my issue with him is he's not Crosby, where he stays out of it.
Yes.
He's so all in, intense, like I'm being right now, that he's going to get hurt. Like it's hockey. If you want to throw yourself around and be in the battles and be on the boards, you're getting hurt. Like,
well, especially with the retribution factor in the NHL. I mean, he goes out there and creams a guy, and guess what? They attacked him, right? Las Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, they pretty much had a bounty on Tkachuk as is not atypical of the best player. I guess Gretzky was the only guy that had the Jordan rules where you couldn't touch the guy. Other than that, though, I mean, Tkachuk, the way that he throws his body around as an offensive weapon, he's going to have to protect himself at all times, man. I mean, he needs the old Richard Steele instructions before every game. Protect yourself at all times there, Matt, because you're going to get pummeled. And he did. I mean, they crushed him in that series, and he was already hurt, I guess. And that's the other thing. I mean, how much damage was done? These were some serious injuries that these guys were playing at the end of last year. So you don't know if they're ready to sort of peel themselves off the mat early in the season. And we'll see what happens. They did blossom late after getting a reprieve from the governor there. They got that call. Hey, Whitey, take him out of there. Right? You're looking at Carol Chessman. They're dragging this poor schmuck out of the gas chamber for the 7th time. Right, his eyes are, as if he's been maced. He just breathed in enough of this deadly gas, and then finally at the last second to get a reprieve. And that's what happened with the Panthers last year, right? Got a lucky shot to be in the postseason. There wasn't any certainty they were going to even make it, and then they caught fire and they beat a lot of good teams in some gutsy series that they played, and really excelled until they got to Las Vegas, and that was it, right? They got crushed like a grape there. That was pretty much total domination by the Las Vegas Golden Knights in the final.
By then, 8 guys had like major injuries.
I mean, yeah, they all have like plastic wrapped around their back there just to be able to get off the toilet. I don't even know if they could get off the toilet, right? I mean, when you look back in there and you see like, hey, what's that red stuff? That's not good. Did I have any spaghetti sauce last night? No. All of my organs are bleeding. Incredible. Heat. I'm not optimistic about the Heat getting back to the NBA Finals this year. I don't think that happens. I would be willing to make that prediction right now. What do you think? Can you put it past Spoelstra? I don't know.
I think they, unlike the other 2 teams ahead of them, in my mind, they actually have young guys that can grow. Yeah. So I'll give them a little leeway in that regard, because if Jovic and Hero can take steps, and even Bam, I mean, offensively, he needs to take another step offensively. Like, if they can, then they are right there with those 2 teams, but that's an if. The other 2 teams right now look definitively better than the Heat. I can't, and again, there's teams like the Cavs that have a lot of talent. Maybe their young guys take a step up. The Knicks, who I still poo-poo a little bit, they gave the Heat all they could handle in the playoffs. So there are teams that could also get better themselves, the younger teams in the East. So on paper, no, I wouldn't put them there. But I feel like there's a move in them. Like, I feel like they're really fucking frustrated with what happened with Portland. And Riley with Spoelstra, with Ellisberg, don't just sit there. Like,
they usually find a way to do something. Although it didn't look like that was going to happen last year. I mean, that was another one of those stories that kind of came out of nowhere, where you had already written them off for the season. We were talking about the age-old sports talk debate. Well, I don't even know if it's worth it to make the playoffs. And you're thinking, that's like the dumbest argument that anybody could ever make. I mean, you want to be in there with a chance. Just like with the Marlins. I mean, okay, they lost the 2 games. They got blown out, essentially, of the first round of the postseason. They were all, leaning against the clubhouse, the dugout railing, in total despair as the Phillies were celebrating out there on the field. And you thought, the announcers alluded to this. Well, maybe this will serve as an important lesson as to how it feels to be in this position, and we'll see how that impacts them next year. You would have to think
they need help.
Yeah, it was great to make the postseason. I thought it was a hell of an accomplishment. I really did. I'm not one of those sports fans that thinks that you have to win the championship necessarily, even though that's what we're talking about, to consider yourself a success. I mean, by any standard of measurement, before the year started, if you had said the Marlins will make the postseason this year and be what? They ended up actually losing 2 games yesterday. Did you catch that? The baseball officials gave that Mets game to the Mets reverting back since they didn't finish the game. They reverted back to the previous inning. And so officially in the record books, the Marlins sustained a loss in that game. Yes.
Shut up, really? I thought they left it alone and did nothing with it. Oh, my God. Are you
What
kidding?
would have been wrong with that? Yeah. I mean, well, why did they have to come to a decision like that? Well, we weren't able to complete the game, so that's kind of like the way we conduct some trivia challenge events. Where, geez, do we have a rule in place for that? I don't know.
Well, that guy's in the finals. He has 0 points. It's okay.
Sorry with me. Who's going to argue with you? 0 is quite an accomplishment. 0 would be an accomplishment in that game. I mean, you really have to be off your game to total 0. All right, we're trying to get Dave Gurggles Gergely up here for the trivia challenge, the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, and having a little technical issue here with Gurggles' camera. So Lubie's working on that. We'll have that for you. You can dial us up if you want to play, 954-417-0070. We'll do this for about a half hour, 40 minutes or so with Dave Gurggles Gergely, and then continue because a lot to look at, Lubie. Not just baseball. The matchups. Do you want to make any bold predictions here right away? Texas, Baltimore. I mean, you're going to favor probably the Orioles. They had a great season, but I don't know about that one. Minnesota and Houston. You're thinking Houston really battle their ass off to finally clinch their division championship. And Minnesota played real well. I mean, pitched real well. And that guy, Roberto Duran, that comes out of the bullpen, Johan Duran, that guy is unbelievable, man. Where did he come from? This is Goose Gossage with a breaking ball. It's amazing. He throws his gas up there at like 103. And you're asking yourself, who the hell could hit that? Did you ever get in the 90-mile-an-hour machine at the batting cages?
Oh, I hate the batting cages. I'm horrendous.
I used to like them. I mean, if you haven't done it for a while, you're going to swing and miss even at the 60-mile-an-hour pitches. But, and that's, you start out in there and, you're hitting what? Do you even get in the 60-mile-an-hour cage? The pitches come in too screwy in that.
So I'll put this to you, by the way.
Yeah.
Gurggles is there.
Yeah.
We could probably hear him. We can't see him. So I don't know what you want to do with that. I can bring him on. We just can't see him. They finally moved over to the other.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
Internet.
you have to redo the settings. And to try and explain it to him via text. It's not that difficult, but it's telling him they can't connect the camera, which I'm sure that's not true, but I don't know how to explain that to him.
I'm going to call an IT guy, man. Isn't there a tech guy over there?
Yeah, I'm sure between now and the next time they'll figure it out, but right now at 8.
Okay. Well, I mean, can we do the show that way with the Gurggles on the phone and the callers coming in?
Let's see. Gurgs, are you there?
We got blank screen there. Dave DG. It says Dave Gurgely.
Yeah, but he's not even.
Maybe we can do it that way with his voice and no picture of Gurgs.
Gurgs, are you there? We need him to be able to talk.
We can't hear him. Yeah.
Do you hear him? I don't hear him.
No, I hear no Gurgling.
I don't hear him.
Yeah, Dave, I'm here.
I don't hear him.
All right. So that's a bust out then, is what you're saying.
I think so.
Okay.
What it feels like.
It looks like we're going to have to scratch the trivia challenge, man. We're okay, man. We can pivot on the fly here.
Fine. Just
so what if it's 2nd and 25?
Gurggles set time aside.
A little screen pass. We'll pick up 10. Now it's a 3rd and 15. A little bit more manageable. We'll figure a way out. All right. It'd be great, if we could get Dave Gurggles Gergely up, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen in the next few minutes. So we'll take a brief time out here and come back with more. A lot to talk about, too, on the program. So I'm looking at all these college football predictions today. I don't know why I'm inclined to want to make a couple of college football bets. What about you, Lubie? And a couple of NFL games just jump off the page at me, which means that you should probably get all the money that you can put your hands on and go the other way. Wouldn't you bet against Carolina every game?
Yes.
Have they won a game against the spread this year, Carolina? I don't know what the record is against the spread. I would imagine it's a negative through 4 games. At best, 1-3 maybe? So if you're looking at, you know what the name of the game is, Lubie? You got to grind out a profit. I'm not much in the way of being interested in grinding, are you? I want something spectacular. I had the Powerball number, and I had one of the other numbers on one line of my 5 tickets I purchased last night, Lubie. And the other 4 numbers were all bricks. Think about that. I was 4 numbers away on an arbitrary selection. How many people are saying that today? From being a billionaire, Lubie. How much money do I have to give you if I hit this Powerball thing?
Nothing. I haven't asked for $1. You're the one getting into fights with your wife over it. I don't expect anything from anyone.
I do this on my walk of life. I do a monetary redistribution based on the fact that I hit the Powerball. As I'm walking up to the convenience store that has never sold a winning Powerball ticket and probably never will. All the stuff in there is a little overpriced, I would say. I know they're right by the beach. I don't want to deprive them of making a living. I'm sure they're very reputable people. They seem very nice in there. They have a wide variety of stuff. They're right across the street from a couple of beach hotels and resorts. So you would have to think that they do a very brisk business in terms of, what are we out of when you come to the hotel? You're selling toothpaste? What would toothpaste normally go for, Lubie?
I don't know. I haven't bought it in months. It lasts me a long time. I don't know, $4, $3.50, $4.
$4 a tube?
$4.50. I know. I try to buy better stuff, like not that it was. Like,
here it would be, probably $8, right? I mean, it's one of those kind of stores. Maybe not. Maybe not a total gouge job. I mean, it's not. They got a picture of Pam Bondi on the door, so she's still involved in that price gouging. No, she got out of there, right? Didn't she start working for the Trumpster?
She's not in office, but she definitely, I'm sure, is involved with something.
Is there a more bitter face? I mean, when did you think that the leading Republican candidate for president would have the most bitter face that you've ever seen in your life than the Trumpster emerging from the courtroom, or just being in court, sitting there squirming, as his own accountant is saying, "Oh yeah, he inflated everything. None of this was true. It's all a bunch of fantasy."
I just love that 12 cases are all fantasy.
Everything. It's all
like everyone up and down the coast.
Most persecuted man in the history of the world, my friend.
Both parties, people you put into place are coming
Navalny isn't taking this kind of persecution in Russia. And he's being tortured right now in a 2x4 cell. And yet Trump is suffering worse than anybody in the name of democracy. That's what it's all about. All right, so we're going to come back with more. No luck with Gerg, so we'll see. If we can pick some college football games for you. I'm looking at a guy's predictions here that is sub 500. It's a guy that we had him on a couple of times. Nice guy, right? Howie Kasoy.
We had Howie Hoops. It used to be Howie Hoops.
It was Howie Hoops, and then he got so hot picking college football that he probably, I would say, for a few years was the hottest handicapper anywhere on the college football scene. And since that time, it's been a long, steady decline for this kid. Although, seems to have a good opinion. It's all sound logic here. And so I was just perusing his selections and then the usual grid here in the New York Post of 9 handicappers that they put up, and trying to find a game that I could sink my teeth into. Well, what do you think? Could you unload on Rutgers getting 13.5 from Wisconsin, Lubie? That seems to be the consensus pick.
What I'm looking at is Maryland, who is 5-0, and the younger Tonga Bailoa has been there a while now.
Yeah.
Versus an Ohio State team that struggles to score, laying almost 21.
Getting 20 in a hook with Maryland. And Kasoy likes Maryland also. Says Maryland currently has the 17th best odds, which is 1%, to make the college football playoff. So unlikely to happen, 99% against. According to ESPN projections, which I'm not sure what to make of those either, based on some of the things that they've posted in the past. Putting the Terrapins ahead of LSU, Clemson, Tennessee, and many others. It's probably the program's greatest achievement of the past 2 decades. So he like you, is a believer that they can do some damage against Ohio State. Alabama, he likes Alabama over Texas A&M. I would think so. He says Nick's figured it out, and watch out. You might want to take plus 270 on Alabama to win the SEC. Do you see that happening?
Because they played Ole Miss well, and then Ole Miss the next week beat LSU, so people are going to jump on Alabama. With Milroe, they're clearly better than they were, and the SEC is weirdly down. Like, it's sort of average this year. I still feel like Georgia will figure it out. They have a new quarterback, so they're futzing with stuff. But the way their defense is still loaded, the offensive line strong, the quarterback is talented. The Brock Bowers kid is not a fucking human being. The dude had like 4 yards at half, ended up with like 180 yards. I think Georgia's still the class of that conference for sure. Alabama, it feels like they're different. They don't feel like the same Alabama. Like, people aren't scared of them. So I don't know. I feel like they're going to end up with 2 losses somewhere on that schedule. So
Greg Schiano might be the bettor's best friend. Rutgers coach.
He's still kicking ass.
Remember when he started out? I mean, he was like had a phenomenal record against the spread. They were getting a lot of points because they were supposed to be a really lousy team.
Yeah.
And he had a battling, and he has yet to lose to the spread so far this year. Rutgers getting 13 and a hook over Wisconsin.
Okay.
Is the pick here, at least of Howie Kasoy. Ride the Scarlet Wave until the wheels fall off. Rutgers hasn't lost against the spread this season, Lubie. See, these are the teams that you have to find. These are the real champions. We are the champions.
Oh, this one's interesting. Okay. I don't want to take any games from Ken. I feel like Ken would love this. Washington State, which is really good. Really good.
He loves Washington State. Yes.
Good defense. Oh, that's annoying. Good defensively. And their quarterback is becoming a dark horse Heisman candidate because he's like a Cam.
Very good. Very exciting.
They're getting almost 4 points.
3.5.
Yeah. UCLA is good, but still, UCLA has I think their quarterback's either a freshman or a redshirt freshman. Like Washington State's really good. Like I don't know. I don't like that Howie likes that game, but
no, it's okay. I mean, look, the guy could bounce back. He's 5 games under 500 this year, but over the last 8 years, see, I mean, he was so phenomenal. I mean, this number was narrowing by the week, and to keep posting his all-time career prognostication record here because it was. I mean, he was like seemed like he was a couple of hundred games over 500 at one point. He's 1150 and 1082 now. So he's still 70 games over 500 over the last 8 years, although most of that was accomplished 8 years ago, 6 years ago. In the last 5 years, he's kind of been, so-so at best. And in fact, several losing seasons. But yeah, I think he has a good opinion. It doesn't just because you're losing. I mean, it doesn't mean that you don't understand what the hell's going on out there. He's very much with you, Lubie. Says, despite playing in Saskatchewan, Cam Ward has emerged as a sleeper in the Heisman race, leading Washington State to a 4-0 record, including wins over number 19 Wisconsin and number 14, which was the game that I bet there in Atlantic City, courtesy of the professor, Oregon State, while throwing for 1,390 yards, 13 touchdowns, no picks, with a 74.6 completion percentage. Can they take UCLA to task there? Maybe lose by a field goal and you win with the dagger? No. Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, why not? If you like the team anyway, I mean, especially getting 3.5 points, you might want to take a little sniff on the money line there, Louie. Wow, that one was a good one. You never did a lot of blow, did you?
I've never, ever done it ever.
Never? Oh, wow.
I was told by friends of mine the one time I was like...
You would have been a chronic addict.
I was just told... it's not worth it for how much it costs. Remember, I don't know if we were getting the kind of stuff you got. My friends,
no.
College, I had some friends that
it's garbage. I mean, what was out there like the last 20 years? Unbelievable.
Like it's very short-lived and it's a lot of money. And all you want to do is keep doing it. They're like, if you've never done it, I envy you. Don't do it. Okay.
Oh, if you were here in the 80s like I was, and you were getting this stuff, pure, straight from the jungles of Colombia or whatever. Bolivia, where are they manufacturing this stuff? Colombia. Yeah. And then, like you had, like I did, I had like about maybe a 10, 15 year gap where I didn't do it. And then all of a sudden somebody stuck some in front of me and I said, yeah, what the hell, man? Trying to get that feeling again. Mm-hmm. And people that are telling you like in the current, status of, drugs here in America that, whoa, I got some great stuff. These are guys that I know that like do it all the time. Right. And I got the best stuff. And that it's absolute pure garbage by comparison. I mean, it would be the last thing you would want to put up your nose. You'd rather stick, like, remember when the Elmer's glue had that little sort of, what was it? Like a beige thing that helped you apply the glue. It'd be like just sticking that up your nose. I mean, and have a toilet nearby. I mean, it's funny because, I mean, compared to, what it was back then, I mean, look, it was highly pleasurable. But, like with a lot of things, and sometimes, even with a woman in a relationship, I mean, that first hit is beautiful.
Just downhill.
And it's all downhill from there.
What's funny, and I don't know why we're delving into this conversation, but
why not, man?
I don't give a shit. What's funny is weed is in the opposite. I didn't do weed in the 70s, but anyone I've talked to says the shit they've done to weed is fucking...
Oh, no, it's phenomenal now compared to what it was.
Like,
you ever see a seed anymore in a bag of weed?
No.
Or any,
That's so funny you said that. Like regs when I was in college was the norm.
Yeah.
Like it's not even brought up. Like
I remember one time, I think I bought a pound of weed. My friend and I decided we were going to save some money, maybe sell, a couple of ounces and, just get some free weed. And we bought it off this guy, and the whole thing smelled like oranges, and it may as well have been tobacco. I mean, it was the worst weed I've ever. Oh. And now I got a pound of this fucking stuff. I never had any luck in that kind of thing. I did have a great source for blow back in the day, but that was unfortunate because you couldn't help but want to consume as much of that as possible. And the fact that I'm still around is amazing to me.
Oh, you are here.
Yeah.
So that's a win.
When Zachariah's brother, the famous heart doctor here from Holy Cross, told me your heart is in perfect condition. I said, you got to be fucking kidding me, man. What kind of doctor are you? Where's your license? Let me see it. I'm going to rip it the fuck out.
You're like, Jersey. Where are you, Jersey? Did you put this motherfucker up to this?
No one could look at this stuff. These measurements, these numbers, and say your heart is in perfect condition, DeForest. And just looking at me, you would have to think that would not be the case, especially if you knew the history there. The early 80s, anybody that survived that in Miami, I mean, you have longevity. Definitely, in your lifespan. All right, we're coming back with more. We'll get on to something a little bit more relevant here to,
drug.
The fuck are we talking about? FAU hoops, Lubie. What do you think? Can they repeat? All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:42. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in Style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodzie, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodzie, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage today.
Hear me. I am your new president. From this day on, the official language of San Marcos will be Swedish. Silence! In addition to that, all citizens will be required to change their underwear every half hour. Underwear will be worn on the outside so we can check. Furthermore, all children under 16 years old are now 16 years old.
What's the Spanish word for straitjacket?
Power has driven him mad.
Welcome back to The Defo Show.
I almost spit my coffee here as I was thinking that sounds very much like Matt Gaetz in his run for governor, does it not? And you played that clip there from Bananas. All right, welcome back to the show. Jim Sarney all over us here today. He's got a lot of good stuff here, Jim Sarney. I'm going to have to start becoming a more regular reader. It's not that I don't mean to be, but I just don't get into this area of the internet that often, of the Sarney Scrolls, Mike Lubie Lubitz. He says the Panthers start the season without injured defensemen, as you alluded to, Aaron Ekblad, Brandon Montour.
Well, no, I didn't say that. Hyde said that yesterday.
Okay. Gudis, who I loved, man. I mean, he was their tough guy. He was their enforcer. I mean, he was their tie domie. Not that they were fighting that much, but man, he would just go out there and pummel people. And Mark Stahl are lost to free agency. Pressure on new defenseman Oliver Ekman. Oliver, where the thing had to go off just as I was in the middle of this. Oliver Ekman Larson and Mike Riley. So that was one thing. And then he's all over us saying that we have totally ignored, once again, women's sports, Lubie.
Well, we're going to continue. I mean,
U.S. women, 7 consecutive gymnastics titles. Simone Biles has come back with a absolute fury as she has overcome her difficulties. And, you know, it was always, an athlete to be admired, no question. I was a big fan of Simone Biles. Who wasn't, right? What is she, like 4'5"? She's tiny, man. I mean, not that these gymnasts aren't all,
all tiny,
sort of that variety. I mean, holy Olga Corbett, what are we talking about here? But anyway, that's to be acknowledged, isn't it? I mean, U.S. women, #1 in gymnastics. The men have never been really all that good, have they? We've had some decent. I mean, Mitch Gaylord was a popular gymnast. There have been others, but that was one thing. I mean, were you any good at that stuff, man? I used to take a medical when they whipped out the apparatus for gymnastics, man.
I'm scared of heights in that sense. Like
I can't do any of that stuff. None of it.
The balance beam freaked me out. The pommel, all that shit.
Parallel bars were oh my God.
No.
Parallel bars were just impossible, right? And there were guys that could do that, like that sort of iron cross thing on the rings, where you're like this, and every part of your body is trembling. It's incredible, like you're about to be shot. You're just about to pull the switch. Hey, Whitey! This time there is no call from the governor, man. Chessman, he got lucky a few times. I couldn't even begin to relate to it. I don't know. There were a couple of kids that were good. None of them were among the Jews, and the friends of mine. Just seems like, I mean, does Israel ever put forward a gymnastics team of any significance?
I don't think so.
So maybe it's just not just Brooklyn Jews like me. But no instinct for this whatsoever. High bar. I mean, could you do a couple of giant swings?
No way. No.
Picture Mayo right now in the high bar. Never mind me.
No, I actually can't.
You might be able to do it. I don't know. I could see you maybe on the parallel bars. Pommel horse, that was impossible.
No.
Who the fuck would even want to practice this? No, I mean, it's amazing, the athleticism that it takes and a level of fitness, right? I mean, you look at the bodies of these gymnasts and you're thinking, my God.
Yep.
How could anybody be that fit? And you see, the development of the chest and the arms, it's incredible on like a skinny waif-like waist with legs that look like they could crush you with one shot. But we haven't been that good on the men's side. Women, that's quite an accomplishment. We would have to acknowledge it. Of course, Jim is a huge Coco Gauff fan, as is virtually everybody, are they not? She's playing in China. I can't find this thing. Is it on a tennis channel? I watch a lot of tennis channels, so I haven't really been turning it on because I didn't think there were that many significant events. I don't know if they've played. Have you seen this event called the Laver Cup?
In life, yeah, I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
It's very cool, man. It's like a Ryder Cup of sorts, where it's the U.S. versus Europe, and the top players really come out and they all support each other. It's great. McEnroe is the captain of the U.S. team, and they have like Tiafoe and Taylor Fritz and all of the top American players, men's players. Then the European team is awesome. I mean, what was it last year? They had Federer and Nadal playing doubles together. It's not only a lot of fun, but it's competitive. So it's a good event. It's indoors in Europe or in Australia, I guess. And wow, I mean, just is it Australia or do they play that in London or something?
No idea. Oh, well, Rod Laver, I think, was Australian.
He's Australian, yeah. I would think Australia, but I don't want to say that with a level of certainty. Maybe Jim knows. But that's a good event. So I'll tune into that again because and I don't think they've contested that yet. And isn't it kind of like I feel about tennis like it's kind of like golf, right? Like after the U.S. Open, the events in golf, the season is essentially over, right? You'll have the Ryder Cup and maybe a couple of tournaments, but nothing of any huge significance. top pros are not necessarily going out there. They're getting ready to tool it up in a couple of months in Hawaii. And then they have a bunch of sort of exhibition type events that are interesting. So, I haven't really tuned in, but is that Coco Gauff stuff on the Tennis Channel? Not sure.
No idea.
Yeah.
You know more than I do. If you don't know, then
I would have thought that I would have come across it. Anyway, she's in the China Open quarterfinals.
Okay.
All right. Jim points out. And then Lexi Thompson is playing a PGA Tour event. And then, Jim, I don't know why you had to throw in a shot there. It's not like we totally ignore. We have nothing but respect for the women of America that are out there competing.
I mean, it's football season.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's football.
But alas, you don't follow women's sports. See, that's why I said it's perfect what he's doing. The scrolls.
Yeah, you do it.
Are perfect to allude to all of this stuff that unfortunately doesn't filter its way, seamlessly into the mainstream. Where, people, they want to talk about how much they hate Nick Saban. I mean, that's
exactly.
This is what constitutes the majority of sports talk. You could bring this up all day. It's like, look, I could talk about boxing all day, but, would that be of great interest to the vast majority of people? You would have to say no, right?
And how many shows today are talking baseball playoffs? It's in the middle of the baseball playoffs. I guarantee, because it's a Thursday and there's NFL tonight and there's a full slate of college football and there are basketball camps opening, I guarantee baseball is not front of mind for a lot of different shows. So we talk baseball. I mean, we try. We talked hockey. You brought up the freaking Panthers.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out here, and thinking out loud here on the show, which is essentially what the show is all about. But, which of these teams? We've had a great year. It couldn't be any more compelling, the sports year that we've had here in South Florida. We've mentioned it. I don't know that we need to chronicle all of this stuff. Yeah, the two teams in the finals and this and that. But every team had a success beyond your wildest imagination.
Yeah.
We are not a college basketball entity in any way, shape, or form, in spite of the success that Jim Larenega's had several different times. They're taking University of Miami teams into the NCAA tournament and achieving more than you would have expected. Hasn't happened every year. I don't know that you could count on that unless you're Coach K and everything's going to be thrown in your favor. Usually Miami ends up with tough draws and things like that. But to have, it's beyond incredible that we had two college basketball teams in the Final Four from this area. It's a basketball shithole for the most part.
Yes.
We didn't have a team. I'll never forget that. I turned to the athletic director there at the University of Miami, the late great Paul D. And I said, hey, so where's the basketball team practice? And he was like, we don't have a basketball team. What? You got to be kidding me. I mean, you're so, and that's when I realized you're in the deep South.
Yes, you are.
Where football rules.
Mm-hmm.
It just does. I mean, look, as a sports talk host, that used to frustrate the hell out of me that you would be talking about football predominantly year round. And you probably could have, back in the heyday of sports talk, only talked about the Miami Dolphins 24 hours a day. Had no other topics ever come up on your sports radio station, and you would have been competitive in the ratings with anybody else. Because, if you talk about analytics, right? Is there a more bogus number or system of measurement out there than radio ratings, Mike Lubie?
Oh, my God, please.
What the hell were they based on?
It's never, before PPM, it was a disaster, and then they did the PPM, and that was a disaster.
It was a bigger disaster.
It's never accurate. I don't know. It's always weird. I don't know.
Yeah, because, when you're getting low ratings, what was the thing? It would be, well, I can tell a lot of people are listening out there. Potential advertising client would say, well, what are your ratings? Well, you know what? That's like a 0.0. Mr. Blutarski. But I know a lot of people are listening from the feedback I get on the show.
Exactly.
Okay. How much did you need there? That was $25,000? No problem. I'll sign right here. I want to turn to the NFL here, Mike Louie Lewis, because we have to formulate some opinions here about these games. The Dolphin line is climbing exponentially with each passing moment. Did you want to get down at 9.5, Lubie, on the Dolphins over the Giants as a gimme? Under 10 points? You don't think that they annihilate the New York Giants in this game?
I think they should. I don't know. I don't know.
Yesterday, the line was 10.5. It started out 9.5, then 10.5. Now 11 and a hook. I have. I mean, the money is pouring in on the Dolphins' side to the point where the bookies are going, "Hey, listen, cut him off, Lou. Cut him off. I don't want to hear anything about any fish. Nothing. I don't even want fish for lunch. They're going to destroy us in this game." You think? 11 and a hook.
I think it depends on who plays. Like when Connor, it's weird, but they were a totally different team this week. And I get it. The Bills are probably the best team they played.
Started out great, man. That might be a thing. I don't mean to cut you off, but it started out great because and what you notice about Mike McDaniel, I wanted to go back to your point about McDaniel and your uncertainty about him, which I also share. I don't think you're off base on that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, "Whoa, this guy's going to be great. He's the next Lombardi." I don't know that. He does some funky things. And funky things, the thing about funky things is when they work out, man, you look like a genius. But when they don't, you look like a complete ass.
Well, you have to know when to go against them. That's the thing is people go with what got them there. But sometimes what got you there is fucking craziness. So ride the wave and then realize, let's just run it.
You got to embrace the funk sometimes. It's true. And I think McDaniel does that. But what I've noticed, and I don't have a statistic on this, another reason that we love the fact that Jim Sarney's listening, he'll probably come up with it before we even finish the sentence. But since Mike McDaniel last year took over as head coach, how many times have the Dolphins scored on their opening drive?
Almost every. They're really aggressive. They're good on
their opening drives are just absolute things of precision. You would think it was Paul Sorvino cutting garlic in Goodfellas there in that scene in the prison there where he's got the little razor blade on. I mean, just precise. They dissect the other team's defense, and you're thinking, okay, is that not representative of good coaching? Where you have scouted the other team, and maybe, Lubie, you want to dive into cliches here? Maybe the problem that he has to overcome is in-game adjustments. What do you think? I mean, Buffalo made some kind of adaptation to whatever it was. I mean, they get shredded on the first couple of drives just like the Dolphins did. They continue to shred the Dolphins pretty much throughout the ballgame. But the Dolphins were stymied from that point on. So what happened there? Was it just that superior talent finally manifested itself on the field? Or a team that maybe has equal talent but was just having a better day?
Yes, that's what I think.
Or was it that somehow McDermott said, we ain't going to let him do that no more?
Yep.
Now, he did exploit, throughout the ballgame, that Kohu. Just exploited this guy.
Oh, he's not a...
He probably shouldn't be out there, man-on-man coverage. Maybe in the slot, where he's got protection in the middle of the field. But on the outside, he got torched there.
He's not supposed to be covering Stephon Diggs like more than once. But this
a very motivated and pissed off Stephon Diggs, who hated the organization just a few short weeks ago.
Yes,
didn't even want to come to training camp. Yeah, I'm out. So what? What does McDermott do? Smart, right? He says, "Hey, this guy can win ball games for me. Listen, Josh Allen, instead of throwing those picks, why don't you throw 15 passes a game to Stephon Diggs, and we'll see if he catches 10 of them." And he has been, right?
It worked.
So could it be in-game adjustments?
Yes, obviously.
Or and everybody's on Vic Fangio now. I'm wondering what the fuck is up with that guy. And did it ever come up yet? Has it been written anywhere? Maybe the game's passed him, but I don't know. It's too soon in the season to tell.
I don't think he's getting help. I think Bradley Chubb sucks. I think Bradley Chubb, they gave up a ton of picks, paid him a lot of money, and because of that, Fangio feels, and he's not wrong. You shouldn't have to blitz every down when you have a defensive line like they do. Like Phillips is back to being injured guy since his college days.
Supposedly, he put on a jockstrap yesterday. So
that'd be nice.
So that was a good sign.
Bradley Chubb is creating no pressure on his own. Wilkins, who wanted this big deal, is like the 40th ranked tackle right now. He's doing nothing. Sealer got his big deal. He's doing nothing. So that's what's fucking them is their defensive line is supposed to really wreak havoc. One of these great defensive lines usually do, and they're not. They're doing nothing, the defensive line.
This would be the week then, Mike Lubie, to erase all that because there's nothing but turmoil coming out of New York City and the Big Apple prior to this game. You have Evan Neal, who has been all Dolly Parton, right? Giant bust so far. Wow. How could that be, though? He was the number 7 overall pick. He was Alabama, right, Evan Neal?
A monster. He was a 5-star
monster
out of Alabama.
What is it about? I mean, are we overrating the rest of the SEC behind Georgia and Alabama?
Yes.
Because, I mean, he was such a dominant player at that level. And you're thinking this is the highest level of college football.
Yes.
So, even if maybe other teams like Ole Miss and, South Carolina, they don't have as many of these players, but they have a few too. I mean, it's not like Evan Neal was going against chumps every week. And he dominated. Excuse me.
That's great. Yeah, I assumed he'd be great in the pros.
No. Horrible. I mean, last year was an abortion, and then this year's not much better, and now he's pointing fingers at the fans.
The crowd. Why wouldn't he do that?
Wow.
When it's an NFL game, and you know that, look, when you want to go, it sucks when we play in front of 7,000.
Yeah.
I can be mad at players for once in a while doing that. But when you're mad at NFL fans for booing you for sucking, don't suck. I don't know what to tell you.
Here's an interesting thing, though, about the psychology of the fan base, right? Where they turn on their own players. Yeah. Now, when does this happen? Well, when a guy is either a highly touted draft pick who comes in and with great anticipation, and then turns out like Evan Neal so far to be, beyond staggering. Mekhi Becton, same thing with the Jets. I mean, we've seen it a zillion times. And there have been many failures among high draft picks for sure at all positions. But, that happens. And then when a guy gets a lot of money, the fans tend to turn on him. But with Trey Turner of the Philadelphia Phillies, he had an awful first half of the season. And I think they've been touching on this story where, that there was a time, instead of ripping a guy here in Philadelphia or in Philadelphia, the fans gave him like an ovation. And from that point on, he started, becoming the Trey Turner that they paid the $300 million for, and was a huge catalyst in their second half of the season push that made it not only into the playoffs, but now into a spot where they're going to battle the Braves again, who they defeated last year. And this time it comes up in the divisional series. Is that 3 out of 5 now, the next series? Or they go 4 out of 7 for the rest of them?
Yeah, I think it's 7.
They'll be playing till Christmas then if they don't get a bunch of sweeps, no?
Yeah, I think it's 7. I think after.
Is it really? I don't know. I would think 3 out of 5 on the divisional, no? Check that out, Lubie, before we go too much further with this complete misinformation that we're imparting to our adoring public out there. Anyway, so the question was, and I guess, we've been addressing this for the last 10 minutes or so, but with this line climbing to 11 and a half.
Right. Good for you. It's a best of 5.
Best of 5. Yeah, that's what I thought. Then the last 2 were best of 7.
Okay.
Which is probably appropriate, right?
I guess. I don't know. That's crazy to me.
I don't mind. 3 out of 5 is a decent test. You get a chance to have a couple of games at home if you're the lesser seed, and so it's not like this. You would have thought that the home field would be looming much larger than it did, than to have those 2 series split with the road team taking 2 of them. Such ugliness, right? Texas had to feel like a home team, though. That was a disgrace. They had a shot at the crowd. It was just absolutely crazy. All right, I want to get back to this, though, Lubie. I want a firm prediction here.
Okay.
The Giants gave up 11 sacks last week. So you mentioned the defensive line has been subpar this year and
struggled,
underachieving. Is this not the game that you're thirsting for blood if you're the Dolphins' defensive line? You're saying to yourself, hey, listen, we have a bunch of patsies in here in front of us.
Yes. This is the game for all of it to come together. I'd have to see it. I'm not just assuming anything with this team. They've been really weird. They're 3-1. I'm happy that they're 3-1, but and everyone's looking at the final scores in the games. But if you watch the games, the defense has struggled every game. Even the Patriot game, Patriots moved the ball. They just couldn't finish drives. And then when they figured it out, they were scoring regularly in the fourth quarter. The Broncos, it ended up being a rout, but the Broncos had a chance there before the end of not the last one where they fumbled, but the one before that, where they were marching down the fucking field. And if they had scored, it would have been a 1-score game going into half. The Dolphins just were opportunistic. People like to say that's the cliche they say when they got lucky, and were able to get turnovers. Outside of that, that's a game. The defense has not excelled. So I know the Giants.
That's true though of most NFL games, right? There's the old John Mayall thing. There's some kind of turning point, and it's literally, by the smallest of margins that you'll have a team lose by 3 touchdowns still. where there was a point in the game where they were contentious. You don't usually see straight out drubbings. Well, we see one tonight. I mean, what do you make of this? All right, so you're not willing to lay 11 on the hook. You think the Giants are going to be in this game?
No,
They will have a lot of fans there at Hard Rock Stadium. There's no doubt about it.
I think the Dolphins will win by 2 touchdowns or more. Like, I think the cover, it's just, I'd rather see it before I would put money on it. Like, they could play well, win, but struggle early enough where it's like a 10-point game. Like, when it was 9, I could have seen, okay, 9. I see them winning by 2 scores. It's getting out of hand now. And like, I don't know who's playing. I haven't seen, is Connor Williams playing? What's the deal with Armstead? Is Phillips playing? Like, these are guys that really matter for them to put a route on a team.
Yeah. I would imagine, I mean, as I said, they should be, tasting blood there, the Dolphins defenders getting ready for this game against the Giants. And you would have to see Daniel Jones, after taking 11 sacks, throwing a couple of picks, fumbling a ball that nearly was returned for a touchdown, but resulted in a touchdown nonetheless from like the 6-yard line or wherever the ball ended up. An ugly fumble as he's scrambling, running for his life. He has to look like a young, naked Raquel Welch to these defensive linemen, no?
Well, and is Barkley going to play? Because that's the other thing is everyone's assuming the Dolphins rebound, maybe the Giants rebound. Like, the Dolphins have sucked against the run. Like, the middle, Austin Eckler is a good pass-catching running back. He's not really a great running back. He ran fucking all over him. Like, James Cook.
That was week 1, no? Okay. I mean,
James Cook last week, James Cook, who's an okay running back. He's not his brother. Like, ran all over them. Like, they've struggled against the run this year.
No doubt.
Saquon Barkley's there. Maybe the Giants can go back.
Is he back in action, Barkley?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, these things matter to me for a route. No, I think the
Dolphins. Oh, okay. So you're saying reserve judgment. And this is very intelligent on your part, Michael. It's reserve judgment until you know the status of Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen anything mentioned about him playing. You would think that would be like a big thing.
Look, if there's no Barkley,
New York papers,
off the route him, because what you're doing is counting on Daniel Jones, which is the thing you don't want to do if you're the New York Giants.
He clearly is not capable of prospering in the offense currently, with no running game to speak of, and no offensive line to help him out. So but I haven't seen anything about. Oh, here you go. There is progress with running back Saquon Barkley. He took a few team reps. Woo-hoo!
He's going to play, and then that scares
during practice in early drills. Looked to be cutting and moving better than last week. Dealing with a high ankle sprain that has kept him out the past 2 games. I would say questionable, Lubie.
Yeah, he'll play.
And we know this, that unless a guy is listed as deceased on the NFL injury chart, he's fucking playing.
He's going to play.
Right. All right. So that's where we left it. Undecided about the Dolphin game. I'm going to say, at 9.5, it was very attractive.
I just don't like where it is.
I could see this easily being a 10-point Dolphin win. I don't really have that many arguments that I can make for the Giants being in the game, except that it's an NFL game, 2 NFL teams. And as I'm sounding like the old Howard Schnellenberger cliche, right? We have a good team. They have a good team. The 2 good football teams get together. It's going to be a good football game. Actually, I kind of blew that one because you have to insert the word football into virtually every phrase, right? We have a good football team. They have a good football team. 2 good football teams get together. It's going to be a good football game. Going to be a good football Sunday there, Defo. Hope you come out there and enjoy it, Giants and the Miami Dolphins. Did he call it Miami?
He used to. Yeah, he would say Miami.
Mama. Yeah. I think he was calling his mother. No. Mama. That's what it sounded like. 11 and a hook, though. I'd be tempted to lay it. I'm such a chalk-eating douchebag right now. What is wrong with you, DeForest?
Well, the Dolphins are the vastly superior team. They are coming off a really tough stretch. They need to take advantage of these 2 games.
At home, going to be hot as shit.
At home, the Giants will have a representative fan base, but the Dolphins will be fine.
The fan base here needs to rev this team back up after that loss. No, just say, hey, listen, guys, we believe in you. Mike, I don't care how fucking crazy you sound.
Yeah.
I know you can make those in-game adjustments.
There you go.
So we'll see. I mean, do you see the Dolphins having to pull one out of their ass, where the Giants maybe are up 3 points in the 4th quarter? Is that a scenario that you could see playing out? I see the Giants... getting dumped on right away and not looking good at any time in the ballgame.
I hope for that. I just don't. I want to know who's playing. Like the way the offensive line played last week, the Giants have put money into their defensive line. I know it hasn't been great so far, but they have talent there. Like,
their defense must be okay because to even be in that Seattle game, I mean, the final was 24-7. It wasn't like Seattle ran away with it. They did knock Geno Smith out with what Geno was asserting was just a cheap shot. I don't know that was the case. He just, these guys, when they just roll over the ankle and you can see the thing, like, yeah. I got a beef, too, with these. I mean, again, Lubie, we'll come back. We'll talk some more about this because we have a game tonight to analyze here. And I don't know, what would be the incentive? I mean, talk about, needing incentives. What would be the incentive to bet the Chicago Bears? Is 5.5 points on the road against, nothing spectacular, but a Washington Commander team that was just in overtime against Philadelphia, supposedly the best team or among the best teams in the league?
Yep.
Is 5.5 points enough of an enticement?
Well, it's annoying because now I see it here.
Wouldn't you need like a Mercedes-Benz to come with that also if you happen to win your bet? What the hell could entice you to take 5 and hook with the Bears tonight?
That was one of my Lubie locks yesterday. I was all over Washington. It's growing. Like the Bears are dreadful. But
how is that line not a touchdown? Commanders at home, and the Bears are horrible.
My thing says 6 and a hook. So that's the thing. 5 and a hook. I'm very confident.
Well, this might be, this could be yesterday's line. In fact, it would be yesterday's line because I'm getting it out of today's New York Post, which I think this edition was printed at 3:00 in the afternoon yesterday or something. Hey, send out that edition of Florida. No, those guys are still subscribing. There's 2 guys down there. They get it delivered to their house. One in Venice and, one in Fort Lauderdale by the sea. Yeah. Just flip that thing. I tell you what, they've been doing a better job on the delivery, by the way. Okay. So very happy. Yeah, you notice I'm in a much better mood on these shows. I haven't
fished about it in a while.
I get sour. I mean, it's like being denied sex when they don't hand you your have your New York Post here before that first bowel movement. I mean, it's critical. Plus, there's not enough information in one place on the internet. Do you find that? I know that sounds ridiculous, but when you have it hands on right in front of you, like it would have taken you a while to look up that Saquon Barkley thing, but you had to know that like a decent sports section would be on top of that. And sure enough, I don't know. What do you think? Did it sound
it's fine,
overwhelmingly promising for the Giants fans out there?
Sounds like he's playing. I get that he's playing, and if he's playing, they can change. The thing what they can do is slow the game down and keep the Dolphins' offense off the field, and attack a defensive line that has fucking struggled against the run. So they can keep the game close. That's my problem with like 11 or 12 is.
Yeah.
If Daniel Jones is only throwing it 15 to 20 times, the Giants are a different team. Like they can keep.
We're waffling here badly, huh?
Oh, I'm being consistent. I think the
not you. I mean me and you together.
I don't trust that fucking line. Like 7 to 9 points, okay. When it gets to like 11 or 12, like it's an NFL game.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I told the Godfather up in Atlantic City. I was sitting with the Godfather for fun up there, the great Don O'Malley, and. He asked me, and it was a Giant game. It was that Giant game, I guess, on a Thursday night. And who were they playing? Was that game that came back? That wasn't the game that came back against Arizona. But he said, what do you think? It's like double digits. And I said, you know what? I mean, the adage would be, don't lay double digits in an NFL game. Always take those points.
Yep.
Because these games are decided by the thinnest of margins in most cases. And then you have coaching blunders you can factor in. Acts of outright stupidity, failing to go for a field goal on a 4th and 2 from your 7-yard line because you think you're going to make the first down. And what now has become the ugliest play maybe in all of sports, and it's only executed well by one team, Lubie.
Yeah, the fucking push bullshit. Why is that legal? Like, I thought that used to be illegal. Now because they call it something different, it's legal? Yeah. Like, I don't understand why that's legal.
Why would it be that you could do that from behind a guy? I guess, I mean, it happens all the time, does it not? When you have a running back and he's kind of, still on his feet, and then the linemen all come and they start shoveling him forward and he gets another 7 yards and go, fuck, if you're the team that needs a stop. But, yeah, I mean, if they're not going to allow a guy to catapult himself over a lineman defending a kick, a place kick, why would you, encourage people to shove a guy up his ass right into a pile of guys that are all, coming at you with their helmets as if they were spears, as if they were human spheroids. And you're going to say, yeah, that's good. We like that. But no team executes the play except the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles win. They move the ball 2 yards on that every time.
Automatic. It
was like the old Brady sneak, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Bart Starr, man, the quarterback sneak. There's Jerry Kramer, man. And where's Jethro Pugh? Oh, there he is. He's in the second row. Unbelievable. Guy made the Hall of Fame off one block. It's incredible. No, he was good, Jerry Kramer. Is he still with us? He checked out, didn't he?
He passed, yeah.
Oh, man. He was. You could tell. I mean, he was starting to feel the effects of playing for those Green Bay Packer teams in the freezing cold when he was walking around those radio rows.
No, he's alive. I don't go too far with that because we love Jerry Kramer. But he
hope to see him in Vegas, yes.
He's 87, so he's still alive at 87. But yes, it looks like he had slowed down tremendously.
Oh my God, it was painful. When it's painful to watch a guy walk, that's when you know the guy's got to be feeling something that you genuinely don't want to experience, right? Give me all the Synvac in those knees that you can possibly inject in there. I'm even thinking about calling Dr. Galea at this point. But to watch Kramer, man, that was rough. All right, so no opinion so far of any definitive nature. Lubie going to wait and see about Saquon Barkley and formulate an opinion later on. Tempted not to lay the 11 and a hook with the Dolphins. Me, Mr. Chalk, Mr. Milk of Magnesia. I'm thinking the Dolphins have a big ball game here. Their offense is so explosive.
I hope so.
I think they're going to just lay one on the New York Giants in this ball game.
I'd be very happy.
And I can't possibly conceive, and that's why. I mean, listen, the most improbable things often occur in degenerate gambling activities, which is why, it makes sports so much more fascinating that you could look at a shit team like the Chicago Bears and say that, 5.5, or 6 and a hook now.
Yes, that's my problem.
It's a very generous offering there.
They're a disaster, and the Commanders have a really good defensive line, so they should make life hell on Fields, and we know he makes a lot of stupid-ass mistakes.
But he can run, the kid.
But exactly, that's the thing is he's athletic enough. If they finally loosen the purse strings and just say go, he can make shit happen, and he can keep. I don't know. I think the Commanders.
How did they blow that game to the Denver Broncos last week?
Well, because they're horrendous.
Was that an indicator that there maybe are signs of life on their offense, or that they just really are a horrendous team that should never get any consideration whatsoever to cover a point spread?
I think they're the latter. They're an NFL team, so they can always find a way to do something, but they're gonna fuck it up. I would take the Commanders still. The way it's moving, you better lock your spread in. A lot of times they'll make you take the spread the day of the game. It could be 9. I don't know about 9, but anywhere from 5 to 7.
Under a touchdown, I would be tempted to lay that. I'm not taking. I would rather lose my money by betting against the Bears.
Yeah, you can't go with the Bears.
Then think that I was going to sit there in total desperation. Grasping at straws there, hoping that the Bears could put up a contest. And weird things happen. You get backdoor covers. Some strange pick six that turns into points right away. And so the Bears are now up almost 2 touchdowns and they haven't started a game. The Commanders are not brilliant by any stretch of the imagination. Is Ron Rivera morphing a little bit facially into Yogi Berra? Do you see that at all? And we love Ron Rivera. A class guy.
We've had him on the air live 3 or 4 times. It's sort of cool.
Very enjoyable guy. It's not like he's going to crack you up with a lot of, jokes or anything like that. Very straight-laced, but very sincere. He seemed like the kind of guy that, would make a great anything in terms of a leader of young men. Yeah. Not militaristically, but, just good. He really seemed to have a feel for everything and, was a people type of person in that regard. And, what was impressive, no entourage whatsoever with Ron Rivera. Just like, you guys 940 out of Miami? Yeah. I'm Ron Rivera, man. I'm supposed to be here at 4 o'clock.
He's an active NFL coach. He'd been in the Super Bowl the year before, and he was there.
Very humble, yeah. The humility of the man is genuinely to be respected, right?
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah, and Rooney is sort of smiling from the heavens there because Ron Rivera being what does he have 5% Mikasuki blood in him?
His name's Rivera.
Oh, he's Latin, yeah.
He's Latin,
and he qualifies in as a minority head coach in the NFL, a league that is largely run, it seems, by white supremacists. Hey, Bud Adams, what do you think about those black kids on the team?
Oh my God.
Well, I try not to pay any attention to that. Obviously, they work for me, and no, I mean, yeah. So he's a good guy. I'm rooting for him and the Commanders. The Bears just absolutely suck. I mean, so they'll win tonight, won't they, Lubie?
Oh, 100%.
I'm going to go 24-14 Commanders in this game.
I can see 21-10. Some stupid ass score like that.
Yeah. All right. So we're scoring on the Commanders tonight.
Yeah, I think the Commanders win. I would take the Commanders if the spread is 8 or less. If somehow it's just fucking 2 points and it's like 8 and a hook or more, then I would lay off that game.
Odds are out for these couple of the baseball series. Anyway, we're already decided here. Orioles slight favorites over the Texas Rangers. You got to lay 130 in the series.
Okay.
And Astros heavier favorites over the Minnesota Twins. So, and the Twins got some decent pitching performances for sure in the 2 games, including Pablo Lopez, who was somebody that you can root for. It actually was a nice day there in Minnesota, wasn't it? What happens if the Twins make it to the World Series, though, and it's like 3 degrees outside and they're trying to play? There's no dome on that field, right? I mean, that's like an open-air stadium.
I think so, yeah. It's baseball. I mean, it's usually
I mean, could you imagine? That would be, it would be like the ice ball all over again. We mentioned it before, right? Here goes Jethro Pugh. He'll probably get a couple of at-bats if they end up playing. All right, we're going to take a break here. We've been trying to get to it for a while here. Lubie had that music cranking there in the background for about the last half hour. Well, we figured out nothing. I mean, that's the beauty of what we're doing here today. We figured out absolutely nothing. Except that, I mean, your inclination is to go with all the favorites. Or at least mine is so far today. I mean, I don't know that I'm giving you anything that, you can take to the bank here, people. That's for sure.
Washington State's an underdog. I like Washington State in the college.
That's a good one. Yeah. What about Bronco? We don't want. We'll take a break. We'll see what else we can come up with. We have to come up with one definitive winner that we both agree on here, Lubie.
Okay. We both agree.
I think, are we in? You had 21-10, so we're both saying the Commanders.
We both agree the Commanders, yes. At 6 and a hook, 5 and a hook, 6, 7, 7 and a hook.
How stupid when we look tomorrow when we have to issue an apology on Degenerate Friday. What do you think? No apologies yesterday, though, for Mike Mayo's lunchbox. And that
was great. That guy is a fucking champion. I'm such a fan of Reno. Oh, my God. He was
fun.
fantastic. Yeah. Holy crap.
He took, to task every ridiculously stupid complaint that people have about excellent restaurants. And, where I mean, and Mayo, he tends to harp on this sort of thing, like where, he has a beef with Houston's and he can't let it go, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I never even, I passed by there and I never even consider going there anyway, even though, I think it's an okay place. I had some nice experiences there.
It's fine, whatever.
Ken's place, the professor is right across the street there, so I would be more inclined to go there. But nonetheless, I don't know. I mean, if you don't like a place, don't go. That's simple. And even if you like a place, you might not frequent it as often as you would like to. So, the restaurant, though, I mean, he gets all this criticism on Yelp, as I guess all restaurants do, for ridiculous things that have nothing to do. I mean, they're so far away from making a judgment about the place.
Well, and you don't do it. Look, here's my thing. I may not always complain if I'm there.
Yeah.
Then I won't complain later. Like, I don't know about the Mayo get a manager thing. I don't care about that, but I'm not going to go on. If I'm going to go online, then yes, I'd rather get a manager complain there.
I usually don't want to see a manager anywhere. Like when you're on a phone call and you're trying to straighten out, some credit card flap or something, and you're getting nowhere with the person from the Philippines that's on the phone with you, giving you just or you're trying to dispute some medical bill, and you finally say, "Can I talk to a manager?"
Yeah.
And a person turns to, same flunky that's next to him and goes, "Here, you're the manager."
Yeah, exactly.
And they get on there and tell you you're fucked anyway. I mean, so what's the difference, right? I'm not inclined to call for a manager. I hope disputes don't get to that level. Like if I was in a restaurant, I mean, I've never been mad. Like even when I've been served a meal that I thought was far inferior to what I was expecting, or cooked wrong or whatever. If a steak is overcooked, I will question it.
Yeah, but
because I would like to enjoy like that $60-$70 steak. That's for sure.
People that were pushing back against not on our show, everyone loved him. There was literally he was waiting for negatives. No one had a negative because they've been conditioned by us. But like, I guess he'll get negative stuff. People will go, well, that you're such a jerk, da 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 da. But that's the thing. He's not saying don't complain. He's not saying they don't want to fix your issues. He literally said, if you have a thing, you don't send it back. I'll make you a new dish.
Yeah.
You know, like, which is
very, very good approach.
Just tell him.
Like, but guys in that position don't usually attack the people that are attacking them. They usually just ignore it.
Or mealy mouth, and I give him credit. Like, it's giving him a lot of attention. Yeah. Good for him. Stand up for yourself. If people are not going to have the balls, fuck balls. If not going to have the brains to say something while there where they can actually change it, why go bitch later? Like, what do you do with that? Like, how does that fix your problem?
We have to have this guy on every week with 5 minutes with Reno.
I want to. Mayo was like, I guess he felt bad, but the guy seemed to really enjoy it.
Oh, no, he loved it. What are you talking about? He was a natural. He should have his own show. Jim Sarney informed me, and I would imagine this to be true then, because very credible source there, Jim Sarney, that Reno's sister is married to Roberto Luongo.
So how we totally dropped that ball.
I would have had no idea, would you? I mean, I didn't know Reno from All in the Wall before that.
No idea.
Nor had I ever been to the Heritage, which, by the way, the food was outstanding. It was so tasty that even that spoonful of leftovers that I took from the bouillabaisse thing and the clam dish. Bouillabaisse, yeah. Bouillabaisse is a soup. Bouillabaisse thing and the clam dish, unbelievable. I mean, I microwaved them for like 30 seconds, this little bit that I had, which was great. And so delicious, unbelievable last night. That is a real taste sensation, that place. I didn't even hear Mayo complaining about a lack of salt or anything, did you?
He didn't complain about one dish. He had no correction for any dish, which is, I think, it may be a first.
That's a record, yeah. I mean, he's even told Bert Rappaport, I don't know what this It's fucking Bert. Would you tell Burt Reynolds how to do some Southern car movie?
What do you mean? He said it to Bert. Bro was like, I know, Mike, I know. I was like, I know, Mike. Are you listening to this guy?
The power of the pencil, my God.
It's so funny.
You would think he was Dwayne Ford, right? Ringside there. I think I'm going to give this round to Ali. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Now that. What'd you say, Don King? Who won that round?
Exactly.
They might as well have had like a pen in King's hand here, right? 10-9, that's my guy. Chavez, it's 9:28.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
You know what I'm going to do? Because you don't never give me a fair shake. You know that? So I'm going to let you talk to Victor Ortiz, all right? I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know about boxing. You ain't You're not
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, The Defo Show.
Now, that's a post-fight interview there. Don't give me any Jim Gray there with his tough questions. You think Jim Gray is going to tell Money Mayweather, I'm going to kick your ass if I was 50 years younger? Of course, that's a huge condition, is it not? Merchant, though, was very smart when it came to boxing, Larry Merchant, in spite of the fact that he appeared to be brain dead for the last 20 years of his announcer career. He was a great writer. I mean, another terrific, writer out of the, legendary New York columnist. Larry Merchant's sports column was always great. But that being said, I mean, he was an original investor in, what was it, Cloverlay, that they called the organization? Cloverlay, I believe it was. And that was the group of like 7 investors that put the money up behind Smokin' Joe Frazier's career in the beginning. So you would imagine that he cashed a pretty fat ticket on that, since Smokin' Joe, I mean, imagine this was like a gargantuan sum of money. I think when Ali and Smokin' Joe got paid like $5 million apiece.
Oh, wow.
For the Thriller in Manila.
Jesus, like the 70s.
Yeah, it was that was unbelievable, unheard of, unprecedented.
That's insane. That is a lot.
Yes, it was on closed circuit TV. You went to a movie theater to watch the fight.
Oh, so they did probably make good money because people probably went out of the way to watch that.
It was an innovation. You went to a movie theater and you saw the fight, and you paid like $5, admission or whatever at the movie theater, and this generated enough money to go ahead and accommodate these guys. Well, I would imagine the fact that how much bribery money came from the Filipino president there. I mean, holy Manny Pacquiao, what are we talking about here? How on earth did they end up in the middle of the jungle there, courtesy of Don King? This guy had to put money away. I mean, I remember the story. Did you ever follow this? The guy that owned Binion's in Las Vegas, and he apparently had buried silver bars all over the desert outside of Las Vegas, and these sinister people later on that had some family ties ended up digging this money up, and then they whacked the guy. They ended up being convicted of murder for killing. Forget the Binion's first name, but. Yeah, I mean, imagine the money that Don King has stashed all over the universe.
Are you kidding me? He screwed everyone.
What do you think he got from the Philippines government to go ahead and, let's just have this thing in the Philippines. That's a good idea.
I mean, he's
middle of the fucking jungle.
And he doesn't look like a guy that's just spending money left and right. Like he doesn't. Yeah. He looks like a guy that's actually pretty frugal. He acts like crazy, but I bet you he's not. Like I bet you he's the opposite behind closed doors.
Yeah. Unbelievable, yeah. I mean, Manila in the Philippines, and not Las Vegas. This would be the place. It was one of those things where you're saying that this has to just reek of fugazi dealings. All right, we tried our best here to steer you in the direction of a winning ball game, and it really came up. I'm going to go ahead and say the Commanders. I may even lay a few bucks on that myself. So
yeah, Commanders. I'm in on the Commanders. I mean, we have our guys tomorrow. We'll probably have Mark Lawrence back because I don't know what the fuck we're doing with the license to steal. So we'll probably just have all our guys tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So
I think until we figure out the production aspect of it, it's too frustrating to just get on a live show and then have it fall completely apart at the seams.
We don't have to worry about giving plays tomorrow. So I'll give today. I think the Commanders, and I really like Washington State. I think Washington State's really fucking good. And UCLA is a good team, but they're not Washington. I think Washington State's a better team.
They look good. I mean, that game closed up against Oregon State, but they had really asserted their. Can you say that? I mean, sort of imposed their will, so to speak.
They did, yeah.
They just kept putting up points, and they kept moving the ball, and no matter what circumstance they were in, they did enough. It's just what we talk about sometimes with quarterbacks. You mentioned this quarterback being a Heisman candidate. What do you need from a quarterback, especially in the pros? You get the ball at the 5-yard line. You need this guy to move it out to the 40.
Yes, move the ball.
He doesn't necessarily have to have a scoring drive. You need him to get it out to a point where the field position advantage is overcome, and you're not punting from your own end line there and getting the ball out there. It's returned from the 50 to the 37, and now you're already facing being against scoring position. Unbelievable. All right, so we'll take a look at that, and tomorrow probably have egg on our face, and we should have all of our handicappers coming your way tomorrow.
Yes.
All right, no baseball today, man, and no game today. I was looking forward to at least one of these series going to a dramatic
they all shut down
third
early.
game conclusion. Does Craig Counsell become the manager of the New York Yankees now after this bitter defeat? Another disappointing postseason for your Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, sucks. If he's smart, as long as they will have him, he stays there.
Didn't the food? Did you see some shots of the concession stands there? That they had an interesting array of ballpark food. Is that unique to Milwaukee?
I don't know.
That Brewers concession stands were a far cry from the shit that you get in most ballparks now. Or is that changed universally around the country where they've all tried to upgrade what they have, even at huge rip-off prices? If you're going to pay a giant rip-off price, would you at least like to get something of a relatively decent quality, something
That's
unique?
The problem is chicken fingers when they were $9 was nuts. Now they like what, 15? I don't know. It's like stupid for chicken.
They're never great either, are they?
No, it's average chicken fingers, average fries for like $15. Like, then why not spend 15 to 20 and give me something interesting? Short rib sandwich or some shit, something different.
They were making some interesting stuff there. I don't know. We'll have to ask Mayo. The food that is, what would it be? A typical Milwaukee fanfare.
Well, it's sausage and bratwurst and.
They had some of that going on the grill. I mean, but they had they were actually grilling like what looked like real food as opposed to what you normally get at a ballpark. So that was a good aspect. But again, I mean that would be an interesting question, right? There's not the Yankees, but the Mets. Great Counsell.
I just to go to New York from right now. You've gotten them in the playoffs. You're winning every year. You don't ever hear his name on the hot seat or any of that bullshit.
No, I think he would be very secure there in Milwaukee. No,
I think New York, man, especially the Mets. It always
does he crave the spotlight? And it doesn't strike you as that type of guy. The limelight of being a success in New York City. His guy Stearns is there now. As the head of personnel, he tells Buck Showalter to go fuck himself and take a walk. Even though the players supposedly love the Buckster.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, I mentioned this before, I guess earlier this week. I didn't realize Showalter he's never won a World Series.
No.
Wow.
Has he ever coached in one? I don't know if he's even coached in a World Series. Did the Yankees?
I want to say yes. He's made it to a World Series.
He may have coached the Yankees to a World Series.
Yeah. He had some bad teams in Baltimore, that's for sure. So that kind of denigrated his and took out of perspective his formerly winning record, the old Jim Leland thing. I guess, that'll be something that comes into question in the offseason. But I'm thinking, I'm going to say Counsell doesn't go to the New York Mets. They go in another direction. All right, my dog says it's time to go. That's Holly.
I'm ready.
Well, there's some service guy in the house here because, and she's stuck in the room here. Her hair is standing up like Don King's, and she's very angry. She can't partake in this thing. So we'll see you guys later on. We're going to be at Wicked Cheesesteaks today. Yes. It's one of my favorite places.
It's been so long. I was already going through the list of things I want to order.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Overlooked, though, is the simplicity. I know he's not a big fan of this, Mayo, because he's not a big fan of cheesesteak sandwiches, period. Not that he doesn't appreciate the greatness of Wicked Cheesesteaks, but, he wouldn't go out of his way, I don't think, to go have a cheesesteak sandwich somewhere.
That's what he says. He likes the sandwich. If there's one there, he'll eat it.
Which is fine. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
He's not going to go out of his way to order one. I love their cheesesteak. Their cheesesteak.
Yeah, I think they're great. So, fortunately, there's such a wide variety of stuff there, so unique, some of it, that especially for a place that's known as Wicked Cheesesteaks. Pizza's great, all kinds of other things.
Wings.
The lobster mac and cheese lobster roll, one of the best you'll find in the city, right? Trying to feel it's the best in the city, and it's like $19. It's great.
Yep.
Cheaper than any place else, and of the highest of quality, right? I mean, but when he has that whole thing of lobsters going there, Brian.
Yeah, yep. And he does it every day. Fresh lobster every day.
He's got great desserts, all kinds of stuff. So come on out if you can. That's on Federal Highway, just south of Commercial on the east side of Federal Highway. A little strip mall thing there, and you might be able to get the nutrients that you need to make your own dog food there, Lubie, at the place up the street. Not at Wicked Cheesesteak. Obviously, any dog would covet, some of the stuff that comes out of there. The way they shave that beef, it's unbelievable. Your dog is not a table food person? I mean, dog?
My dog would love to be. I don't let him. He has a very sensitive stomach. Anytime he eats anything that's not his food, his stomach's fucked up for like 3 days.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't mess around with it. I don't take I'm good. He gets his food, and that's what he gets.
Not a bad idea, actually. All right, stick with that, Lubie, for as long as you can.
As long as I can get away with it, I'm going to try.
All right, well, we'll see you guys later on. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, a wicked cheesesteaks on the east side of Federal, just south of Commercial Boulevard. And, wow, a great variety of really good stuff. And you'll enjoy it. We always have a good time out there. So we'll see you there at 12 o'clock. For Mike Lubie Lewitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thanks. Sorry about the Gurggles fiasco, but that'll work out again next week. He figured it out by the time we got to the end of the show. And too late to do the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, but we'll have it for you next week for your Trivia Challenge players. And we'll see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:40.
Let's go to eat a damn snack. Let's go.
Look what they done to my soul.